Hi, we're going to have a look at plectrums in this session. I know some of you are interested in that. I think some of the beginners groups have had a go at some of the plectrums that I brought with me from the classes, but this is sort of a bit of a recap anyway for you who know about it. For the others, you might get an idea of how it all works. So why would you use a plectrum? Well, if you're going to be doing a lot of strumming with your finger, it wears away the end of the finger basically and mucks up your fingernails. And as an aside to that, you may wonder why your ukulele gets very dusty around here and here underneath the strings. It seems to get dusty. It's not dust, it's fingernails and skin. So using a plectrum can alleviate that, and there's also a different way of playing really with a plectrum. It makes it louder. Now, as a rule of thumb, the harder a plectrum is, the louder it is going to be. So if you bear that in mind, what you're looking for is something maybe somewhere in the middle that isn't too loud, but is flexible enough to roll over the strings when you're strumming. So let's have a look at what I've got some examples here, and we'll have a look at the ones that are designed for ukuleles. So we'll start with this one, which is a felt plectrum. There are lots of felt ones out there, different types. This one's quite flexible, and you'll see if we go here, this goes. Quite a pleasant sound. It's fairly soft, and it doesn't do any damage to the strings. Here's another one here, another felt one. This one's much thicker, and it's still got a bit of flexibility to it. It's a slightly different shape. So, and this sounds like this. So again, this is a little bit harder, and as you can hear, it's a bit louder. So that's another one there. I then got one here, which is the traditional plectrum shape, and this is a composite which has a bit of plastic in the middle and then felt on either side. So it's a sort of a sandwich, and that bends really, really easily. So you get a sound like this. And that's pretty good, really. The problem with these are they tend to snap. If you do a lot of strumming and you bash away at it, which is what I do, you'll find that that they tend to snap. So although they do sound very nice, and you don't get that clack sound that you get with plastic ones, which I'll go through in just a minute. So, but that's if you're a gentle player, then that's one of those is fine. There are a couple of others here. This is a new one that you can get from World of Ukes. It's a composite. It's a sort of a rubber one. They make them clear, so I've written an arrow on which end I want to point it at the uke, because when if you drop them, they disappear. Which is a bit of a shame, but they sound very nice. Have quite a mellow tone to them. They're made of some sort of rubber composite. I'm not quite sure what it is actually, to be perfectly honest, but it's got a degree of flexibility which is nice. It's quite a big shape if you compare the shape of that with that. It sits in your hand quite nicely there. And then finally, with the ukulele stuff made especially for ukuleles, this is a leather one, and these are made by Jumping Cow, and leather. They're nice and flexible, and these are great really. They're quite expensive actually, but they're good to hold on to. You can see they're nice and big to hold on to, and they sound nice. So there's quite a nice mellow sound to it. You can give the uke a good old bashing with these as well, and you'll get some volume out of it, but it won't do any damage because they're nice and bendy. This one's actually Colette's, and it's been worn away with her playing on it. So, but I can recommend a leather one they work very well. Of course, there are hundreds of guitar plectrums out there. You're going to be spoilt for choice for guitar plectrums, and they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. The traditional shape that we've been looking at there is a plectrum like this. Now, that in this case, I tend to use the orange Jim Dunlop guitar plectrums, which are made of nylon. They're not actually plastic, they're made of nylon. You think they were made of plastic, and they come in different thicknesses, and the thicknesses, the thinner it is, the more flexible it is. So this is one of their ones, which is it's a 43 mil, and it's really, really bendy. You can see that. So when you play this, you get what I call a sort of clack sound, and you can hear it. That's the nylon on the string going clack. And the first thing you'll notice with these is, of course, the volume. The volume's gone right up through the roof compared to the nylon, compared to the felt ones. So these are much, much louder. A really soft one like this will roll over the strings nicely, but you do get that sort of clacky sound. The ones that I tend to use are these ones, the orange ones. These are 67 mil, and they do just the job for me anyway. They've got the volume, and there is a degree of clack to it. But I don't mind that too much, because when I'm teaching and when we have a big group of people, it projects and it gives a bit of a percussive feel to it. And I've sort of grown up and got used to these ones now, so they work very well for me. So this is sort of halfway in between. Here's another one which is it's not Jim Dunlop, but this is just solid. This is as hard as it can possibly be. I think it's made of wood, actually, or it could be some form of laminate, but it just doesn't bend, basically. So things like this are very, very loud, and they're good for solo. Okay, so to strum with one of these, I think would probably be a bridge too far. They're too loud, and they don't have that flexibility that you want when you're strumming. If you're very, very precious about your ukulele, using these plastic or nylon ones isn't going to help, because if you look here on the, oh, you can't really see it there, but you can see on the uke, it's starting to wear away now on the corners, on the edges there, where you're strumming up and down. So it does bash the ukes about a bit. So if you've got a £2,000 ukulele, it's probably best not to use one of these. But for daily use, it doesn't worry me too much with these. I think it's nice to get them used, really, and they sound better. So using one of these requires a certain degree of technique. So I'm used to it because I'm a guitar player, so I've used these on guitars a lot. So it comes as a bit of second nature. But the trick is, you'll see that on here, I don't know if you can get in really close there. You'll see there's the name, and there's a rough bit there which is meant to make it not slip in your fingers, because your fingers get hot and sweaty when you're playing, and the plectrums tend to move around a bit. So the trick is to hold it between your thumb and your index finger. Everybody does it slightly differently, but get comfortable with it. And you're pointing the plectrum towards the strings. Okay, so it's coming down, straight down there, and rolling over the top of the strings. Now what I do is I place my middle finger just on the edge of the plectrum, so I'm actually holding it almost with two fingers, and that stops it from rolling around. As you play it, it stops it from turning, and that just holds it in place and allows me to just adjust a little bit. The other thing with this is your strumming technique. So you can strum as you would with your finger. So down, down, down. So that's fine, but what you find is that I play in a slightly different way, which is called flat picking, and that means that it's almost a rotation here. It comes with practice, but it's worth trying. So you're playing the top and then the bottom strings maybe. And you can see and I'm almost rotating my hand with the plectrum and over this part of the ukulele. And then introducing strums into it. So it's a little technique that's worth practicing, just down and ups. So here's another little technique for strumming as well. If you use a plectrum, because it's quite loud, you may want to dampen down the strings a little bit. You may want to, at some point, quieten down your strumming. There are some songs we do where it goes quiet. So you just shove your middle finger out and strum with your middle finger instead. So you can go like this. Hear a difference, yeah? So that's a sort of a combination of using your fingers and a plectrum. So that's a rough idea of what plectrums are out there. I would suggest just buying a whole load. Go online. I think there is somebody who does a selection of different ones, and try them out, or go to a music shop if you can, and just get a handful and try out the different ones, or get together with somebody and swap them over and see what you think are good ones. I've built up a collection over the years, but find the one that you like and stick to that. The other thing you can do, of course, is make your own plectrums. I have a machine here, which is a plectrum making machine. It's a stamp, really, that punches them out. So what you can do is you can take an old credit card, bank card or something like that. You put it into the thing like that, and you'll see, and then you press really hard. Oh! And lo and behold, out pops a plectrum. So you can see, it used to be in there. Okay, and then you can just play with that. They have a degree of flexibility, but they're a bit hard and they're a bit loud. So, but that's a cheap way of making plectrums. So that's one way of doing it as well for you at home. The only trick is make sure you use an old credit card or an old bank card. Oh, hang on a minute. It's my new one.